Greetings, minions and associates. Greetings, minions and associates. Am I alive? Why do I not have any vote? Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. I guess I'll put it on Twitch now. Might as well. I'm just going to have to change on Twitch what it says. Is all I'm going to have to do. Okay. I am also live on Twitch right now. Yes. I'm a Twitcher now. I don't know how much that has to do with Tourette's, and I am really beginning to wonder about Tourette's there. Because I thought TikTok was where a bunch of Tourette's people and autistic people got together to talk about ticks. And then you have Twitch. Are they trying to say that, like, autistic people and Tourette's people are kind of like streamers? Is that what the deal is? Howdy. It is very good to see you. I am trying to find somebody who is willing to talk to me and tell me what is good about Autism Speaks. And I cannot find anybody that will tell me anything. Hello, Angela. What's Autism Speaks? My son was just diagnosed with ASD level 3 after a school incident. So he's high support needs. Let's see. That's kind of interesting that he is 4, diagnosed with LSD after LSD. I am so sorry, Angela. I am so off today. Autism Speaks is a hate organization that is under the facade of helping autistic people and helping parents and so forth. When you go to the doctor, your doctor's going to recommend ABA therapy. Now, what ABA therapy is it's based on behavioral science. Do you remember this experiments where they had the dogs with the saliva, and every time they'd ring the bell and they'd feed them, and then eventually they'd just ring the bell and the dogs would put saliva? Well, it's that kind of thing. And it's based upon the idea that autistic children are behavioral problems, not that we have sensitivities or that we understand and experience the world differently, which we literally do. We truly experience the world differently. Imagine if you heard things differently, if you saw things like colors and so forth slightly differently. Yeah, the world would be the same, but it's still slightly different. How you experience touch and so forth. No. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no. ABA has not changed at all. It's... Well, yeah, of course. Of course. And you might have, I mean, you might have be autistic, too. I was just talking to my daughter's first boyfriend. He's about 24 now. And I met him when he was about 14. And I told him I had autism, and he's like, yeah, I know. And I looked down and I was like, and he's like, yeah, I got ADHD. And I just looked at it, I was like, yeah. And the reason is because he was attracted to my daughter because she's autistic and ADHD. But what Autism Speaks is an organization. They the most well-known organization in the world, and they started out with the idea was to cure autism. Okay, and that sounds really good, but the problem is this. Um, let me. The problem is this. If my brain, when I was inside my mother and my I was a fetus, the way my brain formed is what made me autistic. I didn't get a disease. Some people have blonde hair, some people have brown hair. Some people have light complexions or light skin tones, and some people have dark skin tones. We have a different brain tone or a different brain type, but it's a normal thing. We've had it forever. Yeah, yeah. That's common, Angela. That's totally common, particularly with an autistic kid, because they're so frustrated with communication. They get beat up all the time. Well, not all the time, but they get picked on and stuff because they're different. That's how we are. Right. I wasn't diagnosed until I figured it out when I was 50. I'm 53 now. But Autism Speaks, what they do is they net $39 million a year, yet only about $400,000 goes directly to helping autistic families. Instead, they put it into research to try to cure autism. So going back to the autism cure thing, imagine if every dogs. Think about dogs in different breeds. Think of different breeds of being different types of people, like redheads, people with brown hair, people with brown eyes, people with brown skin, whatever it is. Oh, Angela, that's called PTSD or CPTSD. I was a peace officer for 15 years, and a couple of years ago, I got beat up by cops. And then this last year, I got beat up by cops again because I was autistic. And when you're acting weird, they assume that you're on drugs immediately. Right. And the thing is, Angela, what they're going to do is they are going to frame this as behavioral problems, like something's wrong with your son. There isn't. It is trauma. And what do we do when there's a trauma response? We run, we behave, we act out, we kick, we scream, like a raccoon, cornered, or a dog in a corner that's scared. It's not that the dog's bad; it's that the dog is scared. But if we talk about dogs once more, let's say that we want to cure a Dalmatian of being a Dalmatian, and the only way to do that is to make it into a German Shepherd. So if we cure the Dalmatian of being a German or a Dalmatian by giving it a shot or something, then if it turns into a German Shepherd, then it's no longer a Dalmatian. Same thing with the brain. If you change my brain so that I'm no longer autistic, of course the school lied. Of course they lied, but they might have cameras and stuff. And if they don't erase them, you can work on that. But they more than likely to erase camera stuff and stuff like that. Oh, good, good. I had to go after my school. My school, basically, they tried to get me arrested because I complained about their teacher basically calling my son the R word and ignoring him. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm going through some tampered video footage thing now, but that's from. I can't talk about that. I can't talk about that. I just can't talk about that right now. It could put my life in danger. But in about 6 months, you'll probably hear about me on the news. I'll just put it that way. Yeah, right. And the adults make it worse. Hmm. The adults become the real bullies. Like, for instance, I was supposed to hold hands with my bullies. Well, I'm autistic. That's literal torture for me. I know it's supposed to be humiliating and all that stuff, but it went beyond that for torture for me because I had to touch someone. No, of course not. Where was it? Schools? I have I have a theory that in this country now that we are two classes. We are the ruling class, which is the government workers, and then everybody else. And government workers are not held accountable for what they do, and they have a lot of power. Well, right, and this in ADA, what they're going to do is they're going to classify that as well. He can't say what he wants. The problem is, okay, my sister-in-law who lived in my house, she was 56. Okay, she just passed 4 weeks ago. The reason was that she didn't know that she had to go to the bathroom. She got compacted. She was autistic, and she passed. Um, the reason I'm saying that is a lot of times when ABA and they say that we can't we can't communicate or we can't communicate, we may not know what's wrong. I don't know that I need to poo or pee until I'm in a lot of pain. I don't know that I'm hungry until it hurts. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It was hard. And then my son committed suicide. He was autistic in October. So it's been real hard. But the reason I'm here today is if there is, I want someone to join me to in the comments and tell me why Autism Speaks is so good. Yeah, he was 22, and he was autistic. We were very, 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 very close. Um, he was my best friend, and I don't talk to that many people and stuff. I'm just now starting to talk to some of my old friends because I'm so devastated and lonely. But the floor is open. Thank you so much, Angela. Am I following you? I don't know if I've met you before. Um, I'm also on YouTube. I am also on YouTube. If you want to go to YouTube, and thank you, I appreciate that. I'm an atheist, but I really do appreciate your sincerity, and that you're a wonderful person, and that you would care enough to do that. So that's cool. Um, well, good, good. Um, Go to the autistic community. Okay, this is the only piece of advice that you need to know. Go to the actually autistic community, and there's two communities. Unfortunately, there's the ABA Autism Speaks quote autism mom community. That's neurotypical people with autistic kids that go to ABA and all that stuff. And then there's the people who call themselves actually autistic. And if you go on Facebook and so forth, or even TikTok or whatever, and look into the actually autistic community, that's the adults that are autistic. They are the ones to talk to, not the doctors, not the ABA therapists, not the CBAs, or all these people who think they're the authorities. This is the reason. They don't understand how our brains work. I know they're taught a little bit in school and so forth, but they truly don't. For example, my grandmother was more than likely autistic. My mother definitely was autistic. I'm autistic. My children were autistic, and more than likely, one of my grandchildren is autistic. I don't know if he is for sure, but I think he might be. The thing is there is a lot of experience. Yeah, of course. Well, most people, Angela, if most people who are autistic are also ADHD. A lot of people, not most, but a lot of ADHD people are autistic. Right. And it can pass down on both sides. Um, I don't know. I know my dad was a little bit stretchy, and my grandmother, and my other grandmother. Now that I think about it more and more, I'm beginning to wonder if she wasn't autistic. Um, but the thing is, it's not. So was your son delayed in speaking and toileting and so forth? If you don't mind me asking, and is he still having a hard time with that? Because you did say he's a um, high support needs, level 3 autistic. So if that's the case, then he's going to need help all of his life. Is that correct? No matter what. There's probably intellectual delay there also. Oh no, you're injured. But is he going to need like care forever, basically? Right, right. Um, but usually a level 3 autistic is one that is going to, as they grow up, as they're adults, no matter what, you can tell when they're 4 or 5 that they're going to have somebody there for the rest of their life to help them. Okay, so that might be, he might be closer to level 2. He could, like I was a level 1 or a low support needs autistic. Every autistic still needs support of some sort. Well, good, good. I think that's probably a good hospital. Um, well, my son had epilepsy, and I just figured he was delayed, and I didn't worry about him, and he did fine. He did really well. Actually, right before he passed, he had 6 grand, and he dropped it. Bought a 2004 or no 2007 Lincoln that an old man had that had been garage, had 14,000 miles on it, or 20,000 miles on it, or something. And he was I think 21 when he did that. He walked into that dealership and dropped cash on him at 21. They about died. Oh my God, they told me I need to worry about that because of concussion. What is that? Well, the thing is my son had saved up the money. He was autistic. He didn't spend it. He just put it in the bank. Went and he needed a car, so he went and just dropped it cash instead of doing credit and all that stuff. So it was a good thing. And he bought a used car that, like I said, was from an old man. That was about 2 years ago. But yeah, he bought an '08 and it had like 20,000 miles on it, something like that. '09, something like that. It was pretty new Lincoln, and he bought it cash, and it was an old man's car, and so yeah, but he just went in there and bought it cash because he was smart. But he had alexithymia. Oh yeah, and cash like that, so you don't have to pay loans and interest and all that stuff. But the reason I'm here today, let me see if I got anybody else on YouTube. Nope, you're the only one with me right now. Let's see if I got anybody on Twitch. Oh, I got a viewer on Twitch. Woohoo! And a follower. Well, yeah, I'm running really late, but over across the pond, people might be up, and that's why I'm streaming right now. Um, I went for 100 hours, actually 105 hours, because it's Autism Awareness Month. I was live for 105 hours from the last week of March until 2 days ago. And all I was talking about was why you should not support Autism Speaks. So what I'm doing today is I'm opening the floor because I've had autistic people tell me that they had good experiences with Autism Speak or with Autism Speaks, that they help them. So I would like them to come on and have a discussion. I don't want to fight about whether it's good or bad. I want to know what Autism Speaks did to help them, and if they did in fact help them, and if they can provide some kind of proof. Not because I don't believe the autistic people, but because I do not believe Autism Speaks. Well, yes, and the reason they do is because it's mind control. So let's say your kid, you want to take a shower, a bath. Your kid's screaming and everything else because you're going to take a bath. You get them half naked. They're screaming, throwing a fit, everything else. That's a behavior problem. That kid is acting out because they don't want to bath. Well, it's probably the floor might be cold. The air might be cold. There's a lot of echoes because there's tiles in there. The water in the stuff is going to get in his eyes. It's cold as hell. So this is a huge, huge sensory issue. Now we can train the kid to not act out and to pretend like it doesn't hurt. We can train the kid by punishment to pretend that it doesn't hurt, but it still hurts. And so what they say, right. So what they say when the kid doesn't scream anymore and goes in the shower because they punished him and so forth, what they've done is they've done the same thing that they do with prisoners to extract information. Right. It's too bright. Like I would put, the little suction cup things you put on the bottom, the little rubber things. I would put a bunch of those on the tiles around the bathroom, in around the shower, so that way it's not so loud. The shower heads that you can control, that you can move around, those are really good and noisy as hell. The yeah, the like little rubber things the big rubber mats that we used to put in the bottom of the bathtubs. Well, you can put them on the walls, and then they instead of those tiles being there, it doesn't echo so much. Now you might have to buy 5 or 6 of them, to get good coverage. But instead of putting them on the floor inside the bathroom, yeah, but you can put them on the walls, and then the fan. If you have one switch that turns on the fan, you can pull down that cover and unplug the fan. And I know it's supposed to help with the paint and stuff like that, but you can plug in the fan after the shower and open the door, or the bath, or open the door. I put a heater, like I used to have my kids go in my master bathroom, and I had a heater in there, but it was far enough away that it couldn't get into the water. Okay, I have always had this thing. These new cars, the old cars, you could turn off because they had switches. You could turn off the air conditioner before you turned on the car. Now you can't turn them off until you turn on the car because everything's electric. So you have to turn it on. You get blasted with cold air. You freak out as you're trying to put the vents away and turn off the air conditioner. He sleeps with a fab in his room. I don't know what a fab is. What? Okay, fan. What about weighted blankets? Have you considered that? Be sure and check out a bunch of my old stuff on TikTok. I would go to a lot of, just put autism, or maybe autism kid. Be careful you don't get in with a bunch of autism moms. When they start saying kiddos and stuff like that, you're with autism moms. And if they start praising Autism Speaks or ABA too much, be very careful. Like I said, go to the actually autistic community. There's a lot of people just like me that are late discovery, right? And we're sensory seeking and also sensory avoiding, and we can be both at sometimes, like for sex. I can be extremely sensory uh, seeking with that, but then I don't like people touching me if it's not in the right situation. If someone's screaming, well, that's probably because he's hyper focused on something. Um, my daughter used to say David because that was the only way that she could get my attention. And but they could say anything. But she learned specific ways to get my attention. And more than anything, my daughter would finally she'd say, "Dad, Dad, Dad, David," and then I would pop out. But when you're in hyper focus like that, it's so deep that it's almost like, okay, when he's off in the distance and like daydreaming, when you finally get his attention, I will tell you this. It to me like have you ever woken up with the jump scare where like when you're falling and you have that sudden jerk? Imagine somebody was grabbing you, screaming at you and pouring cold water on you all at the same time. That's kind of what happens to our brain when we're in hyper focus and you're like, um, John, 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 hey! And then you finally get their attention. I don't know your son's name, but I'm calling him John. Um, that's why. It almost kind of hurts. And also, the other thing is when you pull them out of that hyper focus, give them a second. Give them a couple of seconds because whatever you say, those first words, they're probably not going to catch. You're going to have to give them like 30 seconds or something to wolf. Awesome. Awesome. But have you noticed that he may not get what you say immediately, that you have to wait for a little bit? The other thing is if you give instructions like only one or two commands at a time, because with us, if you say, okay, I want you to get your cup, go take it to the sink, pour it out, rinse it out, we're going to forget everything. But if you say, go wash out your cup, we're going to understand what we're supposed to do because we do it all the time. But if you give us like every step, we may not get it. Or you can say, okay, we got to clean out your cup. So you got to take your cup and take it to the sink and rinse it out. Am I making sense here? I hope I am. Yeah. See, when I met my wife, I had just gotten divorced. And within 2 weeks of meeting her, I didn't know this. I had PTSD from dogs. I like dogs, but I lived in a kennel, and because of my autism, the barking and the smells, and I also have dyspraxia, which is kind of balance issues, and with the dogs hitting me, and I lived in a 1,000-foot trailer with about 50 dogs because my ex-wife had a kennel basically in the house, a dog rescue. And I was autistic. So I have a dog right here with me. She's sleeping. I'm gonna leave her alone. And she's my sensory, like my comfort dog or whatever you call. Um, and I'm rambling. Oh, so I opened the door to my house and my daughter was living with me. I opened the door and there's a pit bull sitting in the middle of my living room and I had a meltdown. I didn't know what meltdowns were. I didn't know I was autistic, but I had a full-fledged freaking meltdown. I was screaming and hollering and everything else, and I popped. And what was weird was this. I had been with my girlfriend for 2 weeks and she didn't leave. And after I had my meltdown, she acted like nothing happened. And I was like, this is weird crap. Well, then I found out that her daughter's autistic after we got married and that her sister's autistic. I kind of figured something was going on there, but um, she knew what it was. She knew I was autistic before I did. Bef- she never said anything. She just kind of figured it. But I mean, she knew her sister, had issues and her daughter. But after I got diagnosed, then basically everybody, and it came out, I guess. No, it didn't phase her because she knew that I would be fine after my meltdown and that it was just going to be over. Um, And it was. She was used to it. And she also knew how not to get in my face and how to give me my space and then touch me when I needed. Like, I would put my arm out finally, if I wanted a hug or something, if that makes sense. Um, People have meltdowns in different ways. Some people have to run away and go hide in a closet. I like to do that kind of thing. Hide in the closet, hide under my desk. I'm 53 years old. Funny, funny. But yeah, right, right. And that's very, very common. That's a flight response. You can talk to them about slamming the door. They can, not slam the door probably. But I still slam the door sometimes, and so I'm not mature. Well, one thing is you can I put like felt um, on the door frame so it doesn't hurt the door so much. Yeah, yeah. So are you taking him out of school or putting him in a different school? Because once they have that attitude, you're always going to have problems with them no matter what. They're always going to be giving you hell. I'm sorry. That's just how they are. Like I said, they have that mentality that they know it all and you don't know anything. You're just the mom. They are the educated people. Is that not the attitude that they give you? Do they not talk down to you? Okay. Did they talk down to you? Like they were the authorities? School won't give him a para. Um, did the people at the school, the principals, the teachers, did they act like they were the authorities and kind of talk down to you and tell, not discuss with you, but tell you about your son and tell you about what needed to be done and tell you because they were, oh, they were scared of you? Oh my goodness. Well, good. Good. You stood up for yourself. Thank you for joining. I am looking for someone after. Right, right. And see, I was autistic, and I didn't know what kind of power I had, and so forth. I didn't know the laws and about the police and so forth, and they used the police to intimidate me and so forth to shut me up. And now it wouldn't have worked, but before they threatened to call the cops on me and stuff, I didn't do anything wrong. All I was doing was complaining about their negligence, and that pissed them off. So you called them on them. Oh, oh, good. DCFS. That must be like a Department of, I don't know, um, social service kind of thing. CPS. I don't know what that is. Child Protective Services. Oh, okay. Good. Good. That's the thing to do. Um, One thing I do worry about. Yeah, they don't. Um, One thing I worry about with autistic kids when they're being homeschooled is socialization. Um, a lot of people, you know who Temple Grandin is? Oh, yeah, of course. What are you doing now? Are you just not in school or what? Right, right, right. Yeah, I've had that happen too with my kids. It was before I discovered that they were autistic. They were grown when I discovered they were autistic. Right. Yeah. Definitely get a hold of the actually autistic community. But if he's going to be home, um, as much as it sucks, like I hated being socialized, but it's kind of good. particularly if they're going to be homeschooled. They have to have that experience and the bad experiences and make the mistakes. You know, private therapy's good. Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to homeschool myself either. I just wouldn't have been capable. I'm smart. If I had somebody to help me homeschool, I could do it, but I couldn't do it by myself. Um, I couldn't do it. But that's okay if you know your limitations. Yeah, and the problem is you've got to work right. And it sounds like, and this is very important, Angela. Um, it sounds like you're speaking on behalf of him. And like Autism Speaks, they try to speak. They say they speak it for autistic people, but what they do is they speak instead of autistic people. Yeah, I just applied for disability. Well, just now, SSDI. I'm not going to get very much at all. I'm only going to get about 800 a month, even though I worked for all my life. I'm probably going to get less than what people on SSI get because I work for the state and I got PIRA, so it didn't go into the federal, and I had to take it out, and so they're counting everything against me. They're counting what I took out, and they're counting the fact that I didn't contribute to Social Security for 15 years because I was working for the state. So they're deducting everything and saying, well, you didn't contribute, buddy. So instead of getting like $3,000 a month, I would have gotten for retiring, I'm going to be getting 800, which isn't even going to be enough to pay the rent. Um, I am waiting. I am trying to find someone who will let me interview them and talk to them about how Autism Speaks help them. I've had people. I've been doing this for a day. Um, I would not put him in ABA, and they're going to try to force you and guilt you. Why, Child Protective Services or what? You don't have to do ABA. You do not have to do ABA. And if you look on the internet, you will find that a majority of autistic, actually autistic people that have been through ABA consider it. Well, ABA is not education. ABA is therapy. Right. They will be delaying him more in ABA. And what they do is, yeah, yeah. Well, that's part of autism, having social and communicative communicative disorders. Yeah, it is part of autism. I have that. Right, and it can be. We're all different. But ABA is not going to help him with that. ABA, that's called echolalia. Now, that's called echolalia when you repeat things. And then does he make up things like I used to go na 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 or ga 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 when I was and make up my own sounds and just make random sounds. Um, That's called palilalia when it's internalized it when you come up with it yourself. But if you say it's time to go to school and he says it's time to go to school and repeats that, that's called echolalia. That's a totally normal thing. And that's not something like ABA, they will try to make him stop doing that. Although they'll say quiet hands. And hi, Daisy. Thank you. Um, Angela is a mom, and she has a 4-year-old that just got diagnosed with ASD, and they're trying to encourage ABA. And she was asking me about what Autism Speaks is, and so she's a really nice lady and really concerned about her son. I know she's gonna be doing the right things. I've been trying to encourage her. I don't know how else to put it. Um, if they won't send him to another district, that you can pull him out. Right, right. And I don't know what the laws are. What state are you in? Because whatever state you're in is not Colorado. I know that. But yeah, if you have to go legal, if you have to go legal and go to legal services that are free or whatever, I would do that too. But in Colorado, they cannot keep you in the district. But the laws may be different. We moved. We said that there is issues with our district, and we moved our kid to another district, which was technically our district. But yeah, that's not uncommon in itself. Not uncommon in itself. So what I'm doing, I spent 105 hours um, live talking about why you should not support Autism Speaks. So today, I'm going to keep on being live until I can get someone who will join me on a stream and tell me why Autism Speaks is good and how Autism Speaks help their family. Oh, the UK stuff is. Uh, how about this? How do you feel about the fact that if you're autistic, Daisy, if you are autistic and you get in a car accident, they're not going to revive you in the UK because you're autistic. You're not worth it. You're not. You're subhuman, right? Isn't that how it works in the UK now? Yeah, Angela, and Daisy. I'm not being a jerk, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they made a law. They made a law that if people with developmental disabilities, that the first responders should not try to resuscitate them in the UK. Um, can you see my screen? Can you see Google? UK do not resuscitate um okay, people with learning disabilities have been given do not resuscitate orders during the second wave of the pandemic in spite of widespread condemnation of the practice last year. An urgent investigation. Um, okay, here it is. Can you see this? I think you can. Oh, okay. Let me see if I can get. No, I can't get. I can't make it. Let me see if I can figure out how to get this on. Oh no, I don't want to add scene. I want to add. Window. Okay, here we go. This is from the UK, England. NHS, you should be able to see this now. This is England, NHS. I don't know what NHS is. Can you tell me what that is, Daisy? Anyway, This is coronavirus. Do not attempt CPR, um, or DNACPR, whatever they call it, and people with learning disabilities and or autism. So do not attempt CPR on people with learning disabilities and or autism. The Constitution is clear that we should deliver care and support in a way that achieves dignity and compassion. Wow. For each and every person we serve, we should be cognizant of the principle of equality of access to those who could benefit from treatment escalation and the principle of autonomy and blah 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 blah. Sometimes making an advanced care plan, okay, British. I'm trying to see why they're okay. NHS is clear. People should not have CPR on their record just because they have a learning disability or autism or both. This is unacceptable. The terms learning disability and Down syndrome should never be an issue for issuing a CPR order to be used to describe, and this is the DNC. Underlying cause of death, learning disabilities are not fatal conditions. So this is like speaking out against it. But yeah. Yeah, this is speaking out against it. Well, I mean, just autistics and what are the other learning disability people? You know, we don't have the same value as other people. Yes, it is. ADHD is technically a learning disability. All right. Boy, I'm getting so tired. I think I'm gonna have to go. I think I'm gonna have to turn in. I'm getting too tired now. Um, I am here. If I can get anyone, if you guys can let anyone know that wants to talk to me and tell me how ABA helped their family, or excuse me, Autism Speaks helped their family. I have had some autistic people say that Autism Speaks helped them. I want to talk to those people. Yeah, I I was diagnosed at 51, a few months after my birthday. Well, I figured it out about 3 months later. I had my birthday and I discovered that I was also autistic or ADHD at the same time. I was diagnosed with both at the same time. Yeah, they have been literally, and I talk about that, Daisy. I talk about that a lot. I have an entire series on Autism Speaks and ABA and how it's a cult. Yes, because when they get involved with ABA, okay, oh, Angela, this is what's going to happen. Your doctor's going to say your kid needs ABA. You're going to go get ABA, and the first day they're going to find something, a win, something to change his behavior, a win, to convince you that they are helping him. Now, when they change his behaviors, they are not dealing with his sensitivities necessarily. They could. But the big thing is they are making him look like a neurotypical person. They may say quiet hands. They may not want him to flap like this. There may be things that they like how he plays with. Hello, Orla. How he plays with the puzzle. They may say that he doesn't play with cars properly. Things like that. It depends on the therapist. But the problem is, I've totally lost my train of thought. That's the problem. Me rocking on my vet. I used to do that all the time with my kids. You can't just describe what they might do. You need to describe those things are bad. Well, yeah. I mean, behaviors are one thing, but calling everything a behavior because autistic people act different. So, Orla's saying Lighthouse Movement is a highly regulatory for autistic people, how stimming blocks out other sensory stimuli as well as relieves nervous energy and anxiety. I rock back and forth. Yeah, see, Angela, there's a good chance just because you know your son's autistic and you know you're ADHD, there's a good chance that, particularly because you're a female, that you have not been diagnosed properly and that you are a autistic. You have more than likely been um, diagnosed with bipolar or depression, maybe even schizophrenia or personality disorder in your lifetime. Um, but that's very common for female autistics to be misdiagnosed. That's another thing that I would encourage you to look up is how common it is for females to be misdiagnosed and find out. Yeah, never just ADHD. Um, it's very important to find out how a cis female, if you're a cis female, how they present because females are much harder to detect because they mask better, and that is they blend in better with neurotypical people. Are you familiar with the term masking? Um, you need to talk about how it not only it is masking, but it can also be a temporary effect of how much it raises mental health issues. Absolutely. Well, considering the 94% hereditability rate. Okay, so yeah, yeah, I actually kind of slipped into talking and masking there already, didn't I? um, yes, it is an effect of masking, and my mother was diagnosed as schizophrenic. Are you saying, yep, that you had gotten diagnosed with all those different things or some of those things? That's very, 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 very common for ladies, even now and today. My daughter was diagnosed bipolar and depression and all that. She's autistic. But this is the thing. Most, well, almost all autistic people, I would say, and I can almost say all autistics have depression. All schizophrenics have depression. All autistics pretty much have a some sort of PTSD or CPTSD from trauma, like you were talking about before. And if your father's side has schizophrenia, you got to understand the spectrum when we talk about the broad spectrum, not autism. When we talk about the neurodivergent spectrum, we have Tourette's, and that includes stuttering, like I stutter. You have schizophrenia, autism, ADHD. Are there other things in there too? Um, Remember that conversation I was trying to have with you when we were on Purple Stream? I don't think it's so much that autistic women and girls mask a whole lot better because we present differently. We have different signs, and it's just a lot of these signs are blatantly ignored. Well, yeah, absolutely. Did you catch that, Angela? Orla is on YouTube. Um, but I am trying to get someone. I spent, what, 3 weeks, huh, Orla? I have 108, or excuse me, well, yeah, 105 hours for sure. Actually, it's probably closer to 110 today of hours that I talked about why you should not support Autism Speaks. Now, I want people from Autism Speaks to interview, and they won't do it. So I want anyone who can support Autism Speaks and tell me how Autism Speaks has helped them. I want to know their story. And I do want to ask them questions about it. I want to find out, are they brainwashed? And they just are saying, oh, yeah, well, it did me good. Well, how? I want to ask those specific questions. Additionally, there are some signs are also attributed to gender specific behaviors. Absolutely. Oh boy. I do not feel good. I just had a pinch of tobacco and I haven't had any in like a month and a half. And it is definitely affecting me. I'm not going to be doing that again for a little while. But I wonder how long I'm going to be doing this live stream before well, I mean, I may have to shut it down today, but how long I'm going to be streaming before, yeah, bleh. Um, I wonder how long it's going to be before I can get somebody to actually come on and do an interview with me that likes Autism Speaks, that says that it helped them. Because Autism Speaks says they help people, but I never have seen their stories. Well, yeah, but I did it. I started early yesterday morning, about 9 or 10, I think, and I was running streams trying to get somebody to come on with me and tell me how autism speaks, because I get a lot of hecklers in my comments, and I let them. I leave the comments there. I don't really talk to them that much, but I let them say what they want to say. And I've had a bunch of them tell me that Autism Speaks has helped them, but they've never been specific. And if they have, I want to see receipts or something to show that Autism Speaks did actually help them. I do trust the autistic people. I just don't trust Autism Speaks. I want to see that proof. I want the evidence. It comes from being an atheist. Um, in the United States, ABA is pretty much covered almost everywhere in the United States, and it's one of the only countries where ABA is covered because there are certain aspects of ABA that have been considered to be torture by the United Nations. Yes, it is a federal thing. For example, at the Judge Rottenberg Center, they administer electric shocks for training, like a dog. Except the shocks are much more than what you could administer to a dog. In fact, if you were to administer those same shocks for like flapping or something like that to a dog with that same machine, if you administered those shocks to a dog with that same machine, you would go to jail because it would be considered torture because it's more than what you administer to a dog with dog stuff. No, it's at the Judge Rottenberg Center in Boston. Not Boston, and somewhere in Massachusetts. I don't remember the town. It's the only clinic that does that. But the UN determined that that was torture and that was a human rights violation doing that. Yeah, we do things in the United States that are human rights violations, are considered human rights violations by the United Nations. Um, I discovered I was autistic 3 years ago, and I worked for another year until I was 51, and then I got COVID. I had POTS, but I got long COVID, or it exacerbated, made the POTS worse, and now I can barely move. And I also got PTSD, and I can't talk about why I got PTSD. I'll just say I had an experience. I've heard of dystomias, but I don't know what they are. I think there's something to do with the spine or something like that. Like a cyst or something, I think. Something that could be related to Ehlers-Danlos, if I'm right. Am I right? Is that what that is? I'm going to look it up. POTS and vasovagal. I don't know what that is. I have Ehlers-Danlos. And you have POTS, of course. You have POTS. If you have POTS and you know you're ADHD, I'm calling bullshit. I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that. If you're not autistic, I'm not autistic. I'll just say that. And I have zero right to be saying that. I have zero right to be saying that. But with what you've been telling me about your family and stuff, if you're not autistic, it would surprise me. But that doesn't mean that you are by any means. And you have to technically go to the doctor or whatever. This being said, are you familiar with self-diagnosis in the autistic community? Well, I think that, well, we know. We know for a fact that neurodiversity has something to do with autoimmune disorders. For a fact. In fact, when COVID came along, we were like twice as likely to get it and like 10% more likely to die from it, or 15% more likely to die from it. COVID was not nice to us. I got a friend of mine who took all of that, and you should see what the guy is trying to achieve, because he couldn't do that with neurotypical people. He moved on and tried to do that with people who had issues. Okay, it's not that it's not just stronger than what you would use on a dog. It's stronger than what you would use on cattle, is what Orla said. The shock. Angela says, my son was born prematurely and we both got sick easily, so didn't get out much during COVID. I got COVID 4 times because my family, they wore masks, but they just didn't take precautions like they should. Okay, so and because they couldn't do that with the neurotypical people, he moved on to try it and do that with people who had issues. When giving electrical shocks to one of his patients who was banging his head against the electrical shock wasn't strong enough, so he did more. Yeah, despite the fact that it caused injuries in his patients. And the reason it's called the Judge Rottenberg Center is because Judge Rottenberg said that torture was okay, and the state he was in, I think it was Iowa, kicked him out. So he went to Massachusetts and named that clinic after the judge that said that he could do it. And so that's why it's called the Judge Rottenberg Center. It was kind of like a slight, like a na poo poo. I'm going to name it after the judge that made it legal. So it was kind of a slight or whatever. Okay, like I said, don't forget to check the actually autistic community. That's the most important thing you can do. When people start talking, if people are talking negatively about ABA and Autism Speaks, that's the people you want to talk to first. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't decide to do ABA. I would not recommend it, but please, 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 please talk to actually autistic people, because we have the experience, and because we're autistic, we study. And so we know a lot more than the doctors do a lot of times, most times. So I appreciate you meeting you, and I certainly look forward to seeing you again. I really do. I'm gonna follow you, I think, if I can. Yeah, I'm gonna follow you. There we go. I gotta follow. Woohoo! All right. So who else do we have here? You know what, Orla? I don't know if it's a bot. I don't know how it works. But when I go on YouTube about 10 minutes after 8, good night, Angela. It was really, really nice meeting you and talking to you. Anyway, about 8, 10 minutes after I go on YouTube, there's always one person that comes on and they don't ever go in the comments. And I'm almost wondering if it's not Autism Speaks recording me. But I don't know if you could have a bot do that or what, or if they've got a like a notification bell, but they'd have to like be paying attention all the time, and then they'd have to record it or something. So I don't know if they have their phone to give them a message, that I'm on, and then record it with the computer. I don't know. It's weird. What do you think, Orla? You think is there a bot or a program that can tell you when somebody comes on live, like on YouTube? Because that seems to be what's going on. Because, like I said, they come on YouTube right after I do, and then they don't ever say anything. They just stay there. It's really strange. But so I've been thinking that they're watching, which is fine. But they're not changing their website and making it dark for me. I don't think. I sure haven't seen it. Let's go to Autism Speaks and see if they've done it. Nope, it's still white. Look at that. White, white, white. Crazy, crazy. So it was really cool meeting that Angela. She just found out that her son was autistic, and she didn't know about Autism Speaks, and she didn't really know about the autism community. So I basically just told her, whatever you do, just get a hold of the autism community. I don't think you can do any better than that. You know, I think that's about all you can do. Hello in the chat there. Whoever's out there on TikTok. Okay, so this is becoming I got to stop playing with that. Need another sensory toy. Well, heck, I am getting so tired, and I don't think I've really got that many people watching right now, so I am going to check out, and I am going to try again tomorrow. Thank you so much. Screw them. Flap harder.